The following broadcast is because I need to get something off my chest as it pertains to war and peace, literally. Currently, the American public is not getting the straight facts about the current crisis in Iran. And it is a full-blown crisis because the United States is teetering on the brink of an all-out attack against a powerful long-range missile-equipped military. Currently, the Trump administration is in a pause mode. While this is going on, there is one broadcaster whom I consider the best in the business. He is a true genius who is the moderator of this presentation, the well-known Charlie Rose, and will be interacting with his special guest, Vali Nasr. Charlie was born in Henderson, North Carolina in 1942. He graduated from Duke University in 1964, a BA in history. After that, a JD from the Duke University of Law in 1968. His interview credits include 60 Minutes, Person to Person, CBS New Night Watch, and CBS This Morning. The person he's going to be interviewing is Vali Nasr. His background is he is a professor of Middle Eastern Studies at Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. He was born in Tehran, Iran, and immigrated to the United States in 1979. Eventually earned his doctorate in political science from MIT in 1991. This guy is knowledgeable, and he is going to give you the real skinny on what's going on in Iran. I'm in full agreement with YouTube's overall guidelines. Consequently, I will comment on some of the newsworthy comments from this interview. If you want to watch the full interview, click the link down below.
The U.S. is at the edge of potentially entering into another major war in the Middle East, this time with a country that is far larger, potentially more lethal, that could not only define Trump's presidency, but also greatly impact the United States' agenda for confronting China, dealing with Europe, varieties of global issues. And so all of these strands are coming together at this point in time with the U.S. Armada, in the words of President Trump, having been arrayed in the Persian Gulf, ready to strike Iran. And we're holding our breath to see what comes next.
And what will determine what comes next?
I think largely it is the President of the United States, because he escalated this situation into a near war. There was massive protests in Iran, but previously the United States had not weighed in to domestic issues in Iran militarily. It had condemned the regime. The United States has, with other countries, sanctioned authoritarian regimes that suppress their people. But the United States has not threatened to intervene, whether it's been in Eastern Europe, in Belarus, in Russia, in China, wherever else you've had this kind of a attempt by a population to change the government. But this time, the president said the United States military is locked and loaded, ready to rescue the Iranian protesters. And so he put the military issue on the table, and then he began to build forces in the Persian Gulf, and said that the United States was looking for a change of leadership, potentially a regime change, and was considering different options about how to impede the Islamic Republic's ability to suppress the protests in Iran.
This is the dilemma that Trump has. When he was running for election, he said he's not going to get this country into these endless wars. And the problem is that he has been escalating this up. So now he's in a box. He's having his advisors tell him, wait a minute. And it's not only his advisors, it's Saudi Arabia and some of the other countries that are around the area. It says, listen, try negotiation, we don't want to get an endless war. We may have to put troops on the ground, some boots on the ground, and that's an endless war. He doesn't want to do that. because he's starting to, think this thing through. And the problem we have is Iran is still working to make nuclear weapons. That has got to be negotiated out.
The Arabs, that's what their foreign minister said. Our finger is on the trigger. Our military will defend itself. This is not going to be like when you killed General Soleimani or when you bombed Fordo, the Iranian nuclear site.
You were in and out, and that was it.
Well, we were in and out, but Iran's answer was symbolic, right? Iran did not actually try to kill Americans. I mean, they might have died anyways, but they didn't try to do that. And so they are trying to get this message out that this time will be different.
Reality with respect to Iran, many say, and I think the Secretary of State said in his testimony before Congress, it's the weakest that country has been since the revolution of '79.
Yes, I mean it's the weakest largely because it's the ground under it inside Iran is now soft and giving way. Although you could go back in 2003 when George Bush went into Iraq, he thought that Iraq would take 2 weeks and then Iran would take another month and they would get rid of the Islamic Republic as well. Iran didn't have the missiles it has. It didn't have a nuclear program, but what it had was a lot more support of its people. So it's weakest not because is not able to launch missiles or drones at the United States. It's weak because of the tumult inside Iran. But it's always very, very dangerous. I think at this moment it's important to point that out, Charlie. It's very dangerous to overread the weakness of your adversary. And also, weak governments with their backs against the wall are more dangerous.
And that's what I'm trying to explain to the people who are watching me right now. And that is, when your adversary has its back to the wall, it becomes extremely dangerous. And that is why the advice that Trump is getting about the regime may fire all of their missiles out and Americans are going to start getting killed. And what is the Trump administration going to do if we start losing troops? That's why he is pausing.
People who've been injured, that kind of a battering is also going to be transformative. I mean, right now, what I see talking to people in Iran, that Iranians are shocked, are sad, there's a sort of sense of despondency, and are at a loss. In other words, about where do they go, where their country goes. And then they're also facing potential for a war to come as well. And I think that gradually will also change their attitudes too about going forward. So the Islamic Republic is already changed in a massive way. Not in the kind of way that we imagine, but it's already changed in a massive way. But is a state that was capable of using this kind of a violence effectively, in other words, the protests were shut down with this kind of exercise of violence, is not going to readily hand over power. People are hoping that he would make concessions. There's no evidence of it. And at the foreseeable future, there is not enough political organization or muscle among the people, or even willingness to come out in the same numbers to say that in a year's time they will be just simply toppled, unless something else happens, right? Some other dynamic happens here.
So the ball is in whose court?
That's the point. The ball is in whose court? The ball actually is in play. The question is Trump going to hit it to the supreme leader, the Ayatollah, or is the Ayatollah going to knock the ball back towards Trump? That's the question. And I don't know the answer.
the contours of that happening easily without the supreme leader not being there. So then Trump has come to the idea that maybe we should kill him. But it's not easy to do that. I mean, the Israelis tried during the 12-day war. They didn't find him. He very well knows that they want to kill him. He's not accessible. They probably have come up with all ways in which would make either capturing him or finding him much more difficult. And so, you know, a decapitation strike would likely come if the United States was sure where he was, and they might take that risk and say, okay, let's kill him, and then hope that out of this killing, a faction would take over that is willing to deal with us. But I think increasingly the administration has come to the conclusion that this is a rosy plan, the chances of which happening in a straightforward way are not there.
You know, the Ayatollah has to make a decision here. And that is, he could stay and be a martyr and be killed, or he could do what Assad did when his country, Syria, was overrun. And what happened is that the Russians sent a plane down to him, and Assad got on the plane and he flew back to Russia, and that's where he resides right now. I don't know what he's going to do. And you know, I don't think the Supreme is even going to know. To conclude this podcast, I'm going to recite something from Shakespeare's Hamlet. If it be now, 'tis not to come. If it be not to come, it will be now. If it be not now, yet it will come. The readiness is all.